She is a trailblazer. She has the titles to prove it. Senator, ambassador, even a one-time presidential candidate. Yes, it's all historic and impressive, but what it took to get there is even more so. Moseley Braun didn't just have to fight the system. She had to fight to survive first. And now you're going to get an inside look at the little girl who had to flee her home one Christmas Eve, to the teenager who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King, to the stay-at-home mom turned reluctant politician, to now telling her life story in her memoir, Trailblazer, Perseverance in Life and Politics. Ambassador Moseley Braun joins me now here in studio. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we were chatting a little bit before this interview, and I was asking you about this deep dive into your life story and what it was like. And I said, was it challenging, uncomfortable, therapeutic? But you said, no, it was joyful.
It was. You know, the fact that I survived it. You know, you look back, as a gospel song says, my soul looks back and wonder how I got over. You know, the fact you look back and say, wait a minute, I survived all of that. And it was the grace of God that did it.
And let's talk about that. I mean, I learned so much more about you as a survivor in so many ways, things that you had to deal with. And I guess when I talk about you having to leave on Christmas Eve, your dad's an alcoholic, your mom knew she had to do something, you had to get out. But you, for the most part, were living in a nice middle-class neighborhood to the bucket of blood. And that was a heart-stopping moment for me. This is what really changed the game for you, didn't it?
It really did. And it's interesting because my sister didn't have the bucket of blood experience. She just went, you know, from the grammar schools on to Harvard and Yale. You know, she did all that. And I think that's one of the differences between us, because she has no real sense of that experience, what it's like to be a really poor person and to have that experience in terms of that environment. I did, and it shaped me.
I remember reading a lot of Hunter Thompson, and you know, he loved to write about politics and talk about how cruel and nasty it was, and that politicians would sacrifice anything and anybody to, you know, to feed their habit. Was there ever a moment in politics where you just sat back and felt so disillusioned?
Not disillusioned. No, I've hung on to being optimistic and hopeful about it, because quite frankly, politics is about the people's business. And if you don't give up on the people, then you can't give up on politics. It's just that simple. And so I don't agree with Hunter on that one. The fact of the matter is that you can't give up on politics if you don't give up on people. You know, it's about your relation to the rest of the community. You do what you can to serve, to do the best job you can do, and whether or not it's successful is not on you. You've done your best, and that's what you can do.
So I know you probably get asked this a million times, but at the end of the day, what do you hope the one thing is that folks will remember you by when your name comes up, when your memoir is at the dinner, top of the conversation at the dinner table? What do you want, even from now, even your grandkids?
That I was a hard-working senator, a hard-working political person who tried my best to make things better, you know, for other people. Not so much for myself, but I really did try, and I hope that's the legacy.
When you marched with MLK, did you know something was happening there?
I did not. I did not. No. I went to, my mother didn't want me to go to the march because the hospital she worked at was in the neighborhood. And she said, oh, it's going to be violence, it's going to be trouble, don't go. But I went anyway. I was a teenager. And of course, teenagers know everything.
Of course.
Okay. So, and when I marched with him, he was inspirational in the sense that when he got hit by a rock, he did not respond. I was ready to throw rocks back. Dr. King did not respond to any of that. He, with this beatific look on his face, almost like he was shined on by God. It was like amazing. He just calmly fall to the ground and went about his business. And by way of his example, he showed us that nonviolence was the only way to approach these things. That you couldn't just pick up another rock and throw it back. That if when you did that, you were reducing yourself to the level of the people who were being mean to you. And so he was a great role model for me. And I was able to basically make my whole career following that experience. Yeah.
Beautiful. Ambassador, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
This has been great. Thank you.